Phil, an experienced hiker and YouTuber, set out on a crisp November night in 2021, ready for an overnight trek along Virginia's Appalachian Trail. For the first half hour, everything seemed routine, just the crunch of leaves beneath his boots and the distant hoot of an owl. But then, the first sign of something off appeared. Plastic containers littered along the trail, scrawled with song lyrics. Who does that? And why here, in the middle of nowhere? As the trail deepened into the wilderness, things got stranger. Phil stumbled upon cryptic notes, poems about conspiracies, ramblings of a broken mind. Among them, the dead body of a duck lay eerily intact, its neck unnaturally twisted. The campsite ahead was no sanctuary. A tarp fluttered ominously next to a flickering fire. Phil didn't stay to meet whoever might have been behind the unsettling scene. But the haunting discovery stayed with him long after he left the woods. This camping footage shows strange, glowing objects darting near a fence. Some of them even jump over it, only to collapse lifeless on the ground. Are these figures ghosts? Or is there another supernatural force at work? I guess nobody will ever know. The creator of Creepy Outdoors thrives on venturing into desolate forests at night. But in October 2022, one of his explorations turned from daring to downright terrifying. Armed with nothing but his flashlight, he wandered through an unnamed forest, narrating his experience. The isolation was unnerving, with only his breathing cutting through the deafening silence. Then, it happened. A voice, low, chilling, and unmistakable, called out, "I see you."
Oh, hi.
The words seemed to echo from the darkness, their origin unclear. Was it an animal mimicking human speech? A cruel prank by another camper? Or something else entirely? He bolted back to his campsite, his heart pounding, the haunting phrase replaying in his mind like a sinister echo. Sam, a stealth camping enthusiast, thrives on the thrill of parking his van in obscure locations and setting up camp. In January 2024, he chose a secluded spot near a Cleveland dog park, but his excitement turned to unease when he discovered a shredded tent on his way into the woods. The fabric hung in tatters, like the remnants of a violent struggle.
All right, I don't like this. Hello? Hello? They're touching my tent. Stop. Hello?
Ignoring the ominous omen, Sam continued with his plans. But as night fell, he spotted shadowy figures passing near his campsite. A creeping sense of dread clawed at him, warning him to leave. Ignoring his instincts, he hunkered down in his tent. That's when he noticed it. Faint whispers outside, circling his shelter. He held his breath, hoping whoever was out there would pass. But the night had other plans. And whoever those people were, kept making the sounds. Love Sundays is a camping channel on YouTube run by Shan, who shares footage of his solo camping trips across the UK. In February 2024, he uploaded a video of one of his camping adventures, where he parked his van near a forest and explored the area before settling in for the night. At around 3 a.m., Shan woke up to the unsettling sound of a car pulling up and people walking around his van. When he looked out, the intruders quickly drove away. The real shock came the next morning when Shan discovered his van's doors had been zip-tied shut, potentially trapping him inside. After cutting the ties and inspecting the damage, he speculated that the culprits might have been trying to siphon fuel or scare him off from parking there. Despite the scare, Shan returned safely and continues to upload videos of his adventures. What begins as an ordinary night in the wilderness quickly turns sinister. A guy who went on camping, named Sky, becomes convinced he is being followed when he spots a shadowy figure lingering too close for comfort. The forest around him seems alive with menace, every snapping twig amplifying his paranoia. Desperate to escape, Sky quickened his pace, glancing over his shoulder at intervals, his flashlight beam slicing through the oppressive darkness. Just when he thinks the nightmare might end, the figure reappears with horrifying intent. A gasoline canister in one hand, a flaming torch in the other. The air fills with the acrid smell of burning fuel as Sky bolts, the fiery assailant chasing him relentlessly through the dense underbrush. The fear in his voice, the gasping breaths, and his frantic, clumsy escape are chilling to watch. The fire's glow dances off the trees, turning the forest into a haunting scene. It's a moment that stays with you, making you wonder what real dangers lie in the woods. HowToHunt.com is a YouTube channel about outdoor exploration. In January 2022, it shared a chilling video of teenagers encountering eerie sounds in the woods at night. They heard loud banging on trees and unsettling screams, which didn't sound like any animal they recognized. The group panicked and rushed to leave the area, with one teen insisting, "That was not an elk." While some commenters suggested the noises might have been from animals like foxes or coyotes, others speculated they could have been human screams. Reddit user Insect8448 shared this bizarre footage, showcasing a creature whose movements defy natural logic. The video, taken in what appears to be a secluded woodland area, captures something moving erratically in the shadows. Its spasmodic, almost mechanical jerks make it look otherworldly, as though it's being controlled by an invisible force. The creature's silhouette suggests a rodent-like shape, but much larger than expected. Some have speculated it could be a cryptid, a rare humanoid beast cloaked in mystery, while skeptics argue it might simply be an oversized rodent. Whatever the explanation, the unnerving unpredictability of its movements makes it impossible to look away. In an old, forgotten farmhouse, decay has taken over. Peeling wallpaper, rusted bed frames, and the hollowed-out emptiness of a place that no longer feels human. A YouTuber from the Flex Tapes channel ventures into this dilapidated structure for a solo overnight stay, braving its haunted reputation. As he sets up his camp and readies for sleep on a rickety bed upstairs, the house's unsettling stillness begins to crack. Footsteps echo from the creaky wooden stairs, growing louder as they approach his room. The camera, left running in night vision, captures what he can't fully comprehend. A shadowy figure materializes in the doorway, standing silently, its presence heavy and oppressive. The faint outlines of its form suggest something humanoid, but there's something distinctly wrong, something not entirely human. Panicked but focused, the camper left the house using his camera's night vision to escape without alerting the unwelcome guest. In the rainy gloom of a campsite deep in the woods, a Reddit user captures footage of a creature that is as mesmerizing as it is terrifying. Against the drumming of rain and the faint rustle of trees, a pair of glowing red eyes pierce the darkness. The eyes seem to observe the camper, unblinking, predatory, and entirely too intelligent. The figure itself is obscured, hidden in the inky blackness, but its presence is unmistakable. Just as the camper decides to investigate, braving the downpour, the figure vanishes, leaving behind only the haunting memory of those glowing, watchful eyes. It begins like any other camping trip. A lone camper sets up in a rain-drenched woodland, hidden between two quiet roads. He had a simple dinner, instant noodles and coffee, accompanied by the soothing sound of rain on his tarp. Wrapped in his hammock, he drifts into sleep, confident in his solitude. But around 11:30 p.m., his peace is shattered. The sound of deliberate footsteps, heavy and bipedal, echoes alarmingly close to his hammock. Heart racing, he grabs his flashlight and scans the darkness, but the beam reveals nothing.
I can hear you.
Around 11:30 p.m.,
The forest feels alive with unseen eyes. The footsteps don't stop, and every faint rustle sharpens his unease. He checks again and again, but the unseen visitor remains just out of reach. The hours drag on until morning light finally breaks the spell. Packing quickly, he leaves nothing behind but a damp spot where his camp stood, carrying with him the memory of a night that refused to let him rest. The abandoned Bloodlow incinerator is more than just a derelict structure. It's a canvas of tragedy and unease. In 1966, the body of 24-year-old waitress Della Mae Miller was discovered here, strangled, leaving behind an aura of sorrow and violence. Modern-day explorers venture into this eerie relic, navigating its graffiti-covered walls and crumbling hallways. Strange noises seem to reverberate through the corridors, almost guiding the explorers deeper. The descent into the dark, damp basement feels suffocating, the air thick with dread.
Bro, now, what is the balloons? Hello?
As they press on, one of the explorers hears a faint sound, a whisper, perhaps, a shuffling. It's hard to tell. When they reach the basement's core, something catches their eye. Behind a rusted fence, a shadow lingers, a humanoid shape, its outline grotesque and unnatural. The figure doesn't move, but seems to watch, its intent unclear. Whether it's a trick of the light, an elaborate prank, or something truly sinister, the moment is enough to send chills down anyone's spine. A group of friends heads deep into the wilderness, eager for an adventure far from civilization. Their campsite, nestled in the woods, feels perfect, until the night takes a dark turn. Laughter fades when a voice breaks the stillness. It's close, about 20 feet away, and sends chills down their spines. Hoping to ease the tension, one friend calls out, "Hey yo, what's up?" The reply is instant and menacing, a torrent of curses spat from the darkness. The unseen speaker's rage is palpable, laced with an unsettling sense of territoriality. Panic sets in as the friends quickly and quietly pack their belongings. Every sound feels amplified as they glanced nervously into the void, expecting the stranger to appear at any moment. Without waiting to find out who or what is out there, they abandon the campsite, leaving behind their perfect spot and a night they'll never forget. Luke, from Outdoor Boys on YouTube, sets up camp in the vast Alaskan wilderness, miles from civilization. The crackling of his campfire is his only company as he prepares for the night. Suddenly, the peace is broken by a bone-chilling sound, a noise that resembles laughter, but it's not human. He freezes, his eyes darting toward the darkness.
You hear that?
"Did you hear that?" he whispers into the void. The eerie sound comes again, unmistakably a wolf's haunting laugh. As his young son sleeps nearby, Luke stays utterly still, heart pounding as he listens to the unseen predators scouting the perimeter. The laughter fades, and the wolves eventually retreat, leaving Luke shaken but unharmed. In April 2019, a YouTuber named Jason recorded a solo camping trip that started uneventfully but quickly turned into a nightmare. Known for his outdoor adventures, Jason filmed himself hiking up a mountain, setting up camp, and demonstrating survival techniques. As night fell, an eerie sound from the mountains startled him. A mix between an animal growl and something straight out of Jurassic Park. Brushing it off, he tried to sleep but was jolted awake by another strange noise. This time, it was closer, circling his tent. When Jason shined his flashlight outside, he missed the glowing eyes watching him. Wolves? Coyotes? Whatever it was, he unknowingly spent the night under the watchful gaze of a predator. In 2021, Australian YouTuber Matt accepted a dare to spend a night alone in a remote, ominous cave. Venturing deep into its shadowy recesses, he began hearing unsettling noises, rocks falling and something stalking him. Then, as he ate dinner, a heavy chain he had climbed down earlier began swaying.
Good cave. Oh my God. That was the sound. That is the sound. Did you hear that?
Matt froze. There was no wind, no logical explanation. Later that night, even more terrifying sounds echoed through the cave, forcing Matt to consider fleeing. Goosebumps crawled over his skin as the realization sank in. He wasn't alone. Against all instincts, he stayed the night, his nerves on edge until dawn. In December 2017, an off-grid living YouTuber shared a chilling video of an encounter while car camping in a parking lot. Around 1:30 a.m., a hooded man began circling his truck, snapping photos of the license plates. With the back of the truck in complete darkness, the man likely didn't realize someone was inside. However, his actions grew more suspicious as he prowled around, eventually trying to peer inside with a flashlight. Feeling threatened, the camper banged on the truck's interior, startling the man, who fled instantly. Although the man's intentions remain unclear, his suspicious behavior suggested a possible carjacking attempt. Thankfully, the camper left the area unharmed and found a safer spot for the night. What started as a peaceful getaway turned into a nightmare for Noah, a camper documenting his solo adventure in Sun River, Oregon. As he slept in his truck, the forest's silence shattered with soft rattling at his door. Someone or something was trying to get in.
He's been walking around for like 20 minutes already. My gun's in my cab, though.
Frozen with fear, Noah grabbed his GoPro, capturing haunting sounds of footsteps circling his vehicle. Scratch marks and eerie handprints later confirmed he wasn't alone. Trapped in total darkness, every second felt like an eternity. Though the intruder eventually left, Noah's chilling ordeal left him too terrified to return to the forest. In September 2022, a solo van camper in Cornwall, UK, faced a terrifying ordeal. Although he parked in a restricted area, he took measures to stay discreet, cooking quietly and turning in early. But at around 2 a.m., the peace was shattered. Someone approached his van and attempted to open the door. This wasn't a polite knock. They were aggressively trying the handle. The campers speculated this wasn't law enforcement, as officials typically knock, announce themselves, and ask campers to leave. Instead, this seemed like a potential break-in attempt. Fortunately, the intruder left after several seconds. Shaken but unharmed, the camper resumed his journey the next day. Deep in the wilderness, miles from civilization, Will's quiet camping trip took a horrifying turn. The forest echoed with strange, heavy snapping sounds, as if something massive moved in the dark. A low, guttural growl followed, sending chills down his spine. Even his night vision camera failed to pierce the oppressive blackness surrounding him. Heart racing, Will waited for the noises to stop. But as they intensified, the line between fear and reality blurred. Was it an animal? Or something far worse? The next morning, he shared his experience, leaving viewers shaken by the unsettling sounds that haunted his night. Allison thought parking in a hotel lot would ensure safety during her road trip, but the night held terrifying surprises. Just as she was dozing off, a frantic knock shattered the silence, followed by someone furiously trying to open her truck door. Fear gripped her as she scrambled to start her engine. The stranger hesitated but didn't leave. Heart pounding, Allison sped away, leaving the mysterious figure behind. Later, she recounted her horrifying ordeal, still shaken by how close she'd come to real danger. A man was out camping with his dog, recording a casual video, when he noticed his dog staring at something in the distance. Then, his camera caught it. A hazy figure standing still in the middle of the lake. Some viewers think it's fake, but this is the first time he's ever posted anything paranormal. His usual content is all about his travels with his dog. Was this an eerie lake spirit, or is there a more logical explanation for the strange figure? CJ and Chris were out exploring the wilderness when they found something eerie, a deserted building in the middle of nowhere. As they got closer, a dark figure suddenly appeared in the doorway. It didn't move. It just stood there, watching them. Panicked, they bolted, their camera capturing every second of their escape. Back at their truck, the forest seemed to close in on them, filled with unseen dangers.
Oh, yo, wake up, dude. What the fuck is that? Is that an earthquake? What was that? The van was just swaying side to side, dude.
Even with the doors locked, they couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was still watching. They don't know what they ran into that day, but one thing's for sure, they're never going back. Dustin was enjoying a peaceful stay at an Airbnb tucked deep in the Australian woods. After a quiet dinner, he settled in for the night. But around 2 a.m., a loud crash jolted him awake. It sounded like pots and pans falling in the kitchen. Frozen in bed, Dustin stayed put, hoping it was nothing. The noise stopped, but an unsettling feeling lingered. Then, his camera caught something horrifying. A man, standing motionless in the hallway, staring at him. Gathering his courage, Dustin got up to confront the figure, but it vanished. Footsteps echoed through the house, and the front door slammed. Out of fear, Dustin quickly packed up and left, spending the rest of the night at a nearby hotel. Grizzly Gaz, a YouTuber who braves the harshest conditions with his trusty bulldog Fendi, was enjoying a peaceful evening in a remote UK forest in April 2023. He had just settled in for a cozy steak dinner when a figure emerged from the shadows. A man in a tattered coat and jeans stood by his campsite, asking for beer and food. Though the man, Martin, seemed harmless, there was something unsettling about his incoherent ramblings and haunted demeanor. He shared a sorrowful tale of a life ruined by addiction. But the creepiness peaked when Gaz turned to tend the fire, only to find Martin gone, vanished without a word. Alone again in the dark woods, Gaz couldn't shake the eerie feeling that his strange visitor hadn't wandered far. This time, Gaz was deep in the forest, enjoying a day of hiking and camping with his dog, Fendi. After setting up camp and cooking dinner, the evening seemed peaceful. But as night fell, things took a creepy turn. Around 1 a.m., Gaz was startled awake by the faint sound of children laughing near his tent. Grabbing his flashlight, he ventured out into the pitch-black woods to investigate. The eerie laughter continued, echoing through the forest, but no one was there.
Any more? I hear them coming. Can't see the shadow. Here's a path. Okay, get me there. I'm recording all of this!
Even his camera captured the unsettling sounds. Unsure of what was lurking, Gaz decided he'd had enough excitement for one night and returned to his tent, staying alert until exhaustion finally overcame him. Chris, an experienced outdoorsman, often shares his love of hiking and camping on TikTok. But one recent video left his followers unnerved. While walking through familiar woods near his home, Chris felt an eerie sensation, like he was being watched. At first, he brushed it off as his imagination. Then, he saw it. A figure in the distance, not just standing there but watching him. To make it worse, it waved. Clearly shaken, Chris called out, but his voice trembled with uncertainty. Just as viewers anticipated what would happen next, the video cut off, leaving everyone in suspense. No follow-up, no explanation. Just a mystery. In the dead of night, a lone camper named Will sets up in the isolated woods of Box Hill, UK. The darkness is thick, the forest silent, until it's not. Will is startled awake by human voices echoing eerily through the trees. The sound isn't close, but it's distinct enough to send a chill down his spine. With a shaky voice, he mutters, "I don't think I'm getting much sleep tonight." He knows he's alone, and no one else is supposed to be there. So, who is speaking? He listens intently, the whispers blending with the rustling leaves, each sound deepening the unease. Chris Dickinson, an Oklahoma-based YouTuber who runs Sooner Sasquatch, dedicates his videos to searching for Sasquatch. One night, while camping, Chris heard strange noises near his tent and decided to investigate using a night vision camera and flashlight. Upon reaching the area, he was overwhelmed by a foul odor, a typical sign in Sasquatch sightings. Suddenly, he realized he wasn't alone. A warm breath, visible in the cold night air, revealed a creature silently watching him from behind a tree. Replaying the footage shows what appears to be a head with two dark eyes. Another viewer noticed a shape poking through branches and retreating. Could this be Sasquatch or something else entirely? A man camping alone in Ohio had a peaceful trip until his last night. While sleeping in his hammock, he was woken by strange sounds and saw headlamps through the trees. He quickly decided to leave, noticing a second person heading toward his camp. He hid until sunrise, and when he returned, found his tent destroyed and supplies stolen. But that wasn't all. He also discovered a bag of drugs and another full of human waste. He hurriedly packed up and left, wondering what could have happened if he hadn't woken up in time. So, after seeing these, would you still camp out in the wild, or is it just too risky? Tell us in the comments.